Hello and welcome to today's presentation titled Invasive Species and Community Action. My name is Lauren Bell and I'm the Program Manager at the Invasive Species Center. Before we begin the presentation, I would like to acknowledge the land that I am speaking to you from today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Robinson-Huron Treaty Area. The Invasive Species Center, if you're not aware, is a nonprofit organization, and our main goals are to connect stakeholders, knowledge, and technology to help prevent the spread of invasive species that harm Canada's environment, economy, and society. An invasive species is an organism that is introduced outside of its native range and causes harm within that new introduced range. An invasive species can cause negative impacts to the ecology, the economy, and society within that new introduced range. And this second part is very important. A species introduced outside of its native range is not inherently invasive. It must negatively impact one of those three areas, and typically we see it impact all three. Some characteristics of an invasive species are that first step of being non-native to the environment. And additional characteristics we often see is the species is fast growing and reproduces quickly. There's a lack of natural predators in the environment that would slow its spread. And there's a lack of defense mechanisms within that native host species. To bring Ontario into context for invasive species, we are unfortunately #1 for the highest invasive species occurrences in Canada. Some of the known numbers are 440 known invasive plants in southern Ontario, 39 known or potential invasive forest insects, 10 invasive tree diseases, and 180 non-native and invasive species within the Great Lakes. One of the ways we combat invasive species is through community science. Community science is extremely important for increasing education and outreach. It provides collaboration between the public and the scientific community. It's an extremely cost-effective way to collect important data and provides access to new sites. And it increases the eyes on the ground, contributing to important research and monitoring. The Early Detection and Rapid Response Network, or EDRR network, was established in 2015 and is coordinated by the Invasive Species Centre and delivered in collaboration with the Eastern Ontario Model Forest Ontario Woodlot Association and the Ontario Invasive Plant Council. It's a community action network that's aimed at training communities how to detect, report, and respond to invasive species across the province. It's an eyes-on-the-ground approach to stopping or slowing new introductions and infestations of invasive species across Ontario. This graphic here depicts the invasion curve. The EDRR network focuses its work at or before species arrival, and that could be local arrival or a new infestation into your community, all the way up to a high-level threat for a new introduction to Canada, for example, oak wilt. Prevention and early detection are key in mitigating the cost and time required to manage a species, and it also increases the feasibility of a species being successfully managed the earlier that it's detected. So what do we do at the EDRR network? We engage with communities to discuss invasive species priorities and concerns. We provide training on identification and reporting. We do social media campaigns to raise awareness on impacts, identification, new and emerging species. We disseminate and produce training resources such as fact sheets and best management practices. We provide invasive species identification management strategies for the public, helping landowners with species on their properties by providing them with the resources and management tools that exist. We provide assistance planning stewardship invasive species removal projects with communities and linking groups to different volunteers. And we provide training workshops on a wide range of taxa and pathways. This is the model used by the EDRR network to establish into new communities. We are currently funded by the Ontario Trillium Foundation and are in phase 3 and 4, so knowledge transfer and community action in our new catchment in Eastern Ontario. We've used this model to establish in several different communities across Ontario. If you were looking for more information on invasive species resources and management materials, I recommend checking out our website on invasivespeciescenter.ca. Here under our species profile section, you can also find existing resources and research and downloadable fact sheets as well. The Invasive Species Center hosts a wide range of topics on our ISC webinar series and other program webinars, and you can find these recordings on our ISC YouTube. We've also done handy guides on how-tos, such as how to pull garlic mustard by hand, which is a video tutorial that you can find on our YouTube page. So check out this page if you're interested in more information on species and pathways. Another action communities can take is reporting invasive species sightings to reporting tools like EDMAPS, which stands for the Early Detection and Distribution Mapping System, which is available as both a website and a phone platform. EDMAPS is extremely user-friendly. It's a completely free account that you can make. It's fast and easy and requires no previous knowledge of GIS. It's web-based mapping of invasive species that helps us to get a better understanding of the current distribution of invasive species across the landscape. How it works? Once you make an account and you have an observation you'd like to report, you enter that information into EDMAPS. That data is immediately uploaded to the website and then is either confirmed or not confirmed by the verifiers. In Ontario, reports are verified by the Ontario Invading Species Awareness Program. Once that data is confirmed, it's freely available to users and is available on your My EDMAPS account, and then it can be used as a point of distribution so we get a better understanding of the current distribution of that species. There are many different ways that EDMAPS reports are utilized. Reports can be used to select sites for management and outreach, increasing local knowledge and distribution, identifying new infestations and leading edges, understanding movement of invasive species over time. It has the potential to influence policy and even enact a response plan for those high priority species, such as new species introductions into Canada. There are a few required fields when submitting your EDMAPS report. That includes the observation date, the habitat, the location of the sighting, and photos for verification. There are a lot of other fields you can enter to help contribute to that information, but those are the ones that are required. It's important to note that EDMAPS is not just for reporting. There's educational profiles for all species that are reportable found right on the app or website. So here's the garlic mustard species profile, for example, that provides some additional background on the species to utilize while you're out and about looking for a species to report. EDMAPS is also a great way to see what's being reported within your community and get a better understanding of what species might be on your doorstep soon. There are other ways to report invasive species in Ontario as well, listed here, including the Ontario Invading Species Hotline, hosted by the Ontario Invading Species Awareness Program, as well as the Canadian Food Inspection Agency number. The key takeaway here is the more eyes on the ground looking for invasive species, the better. So if you are out and about, keep your eyes out for invasive species, and if you think you've seen something, please report it. If you are interested in learning more about the Invasive Species Center or signing up for our mailing list to receive quarterly newsletters, bi-weekly media scans, and our event and webinar invitations right into your inbox, please check out our website and join our mailing list. Thank you for listening to today's presentation. If you had any questions for the Invasive Species Center, please reach out.